I've had kind of a bad day, so you'll have to excuse me if I lose my train of thought. So I like to travel. I'm not a world traveler, but I enjoy. When I was 19, my sister and I went to Germany together, and we just winged it. And we didn't really realize that people didn't speak English, because everybody told us that people speak English in Germany, and they don't, they speak German. So I just got arrested by the police and lost my sister in Berlin on New Year's. And yeah, so I feel like I'm pretty courageous traveling, and I didn't get that from my mom at all. She went straight from her parents' house to 2 years of college, to her parents' house to my father's house. And my father treated her very, very badly, and she had 4 kids. So when I think it was like my 12th birthday party, I was having a pool party, and that was super exciting for me, because with 4 kids and not very much money, you know, but that was the one thing she usually did right, those birthdays. But this particular birthday, we went to the pool party, and we got there, and my dad had taken me, and all my 12 little friends were there, and I didn't have a bathing suit because my mom was supposed to bring it. And at that point, she just, it was hard for her to get out of the house to bring my bathing suit to my birthday party. So all my friends were swimming, and I was sitting on the side of the pool at my birthday party, and I was really sad. And so that was Elle, and she always, couldn't get out of the house to come and pick me up at basketball practice. So I was always the last person at basketball practice. And so I faulted my mom for a really long time for this problem of her not being able to get out of the house to do anything, even though she had a very abusive husband and 4 kids and very little money and all these things. So as we got older, and she got through some of the trauma of her life, she got a little bit better and a little bit better. And then one day, my sister, who was living in Las Vegas, who had moved there with her husband, and who had proceeded to get divorced 3 months later, but she was still living out there. And so one day my sister Zoe, my older sister, called and was like, yeah, so I sold my car and I bought a 1982 RV and a moped, and I want you guys to come and get me and come back, and we can drive the RV all back across country together. And so I was like, yeah, well, I have to go, because I'm the only one in my family that could, be in charge enough to make it back across country. One of us has to be there, and it has to be me. And so my other sister, Rosie, was like, yeah, of course I'll come. And so she came, and then my little sister, Olivia, who was, I think she was maybe 17 or 18. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna come. So we were all, planning to get flights out to Las Vegas, and my mom was like, of course I'm coming. And we were like, what? And my dad was like, this is a really bad idea. Your mom can't do this, you all can't do this, no way, none of you can do this. And we're all like, yeah, we're gonna do this. So my mom got on a plane with my little sister Olivia and flew out to Las Vegas and met the rest of us. And we were all like, oh my God, I cannot believe our mother is doing this. That is so far out beyond anything that we could ever imagine. So we got in the RV, and we drove downtown to the Strip, to the Las Vegas Strip, on our first day there. We were driving along with the RV down the Strip in Las Vegas, and going out and seeing the sights, and that was pretty interesting. And then we, the next day we rented a car, and we were supposed to go to the Craig Ferguson show. It's like a late night show, I guess, and my mom really loves it. And so we get in our car and we drive to Los Angeles, and it was crazy. like beyond any of our imaginings. And we get there a half an hour. We're really excited because we got there half an hour early. And my mom, I mean, we're excited that she's here and getting out, but she's still late for everything. Like, it still takes her 2 hours to get out of the house. So we're half an hour before the show starts, and they're like, yeah, you can't come in, you have tickets, but you have to be here like 7 hours early, because that's what you have to do. We're like, we're from West Virginia, we don't know. And my mom was really upset, and I was like, well, why don't we go to the ocean that none of us have ever seen before, and see the Pacific Ocean, like Craig Ferguson, Pacific Ocean. We can salvage this trip. So we drive out to the ocean, and we get there, and I had brought truffles from the French Broad Chocolate Lounge on our trip, because I was like, these are the best truffles. So we go out, and we're on one of the beautiful beaches in Los Angeles, and it's blue, and we have truffles, and my mom just starts bawling, and she's just like, I cannot believe I'm here. I never thought I would see the Pacific Ocean, and I'm here with all of my girls, and it's just beyond my wildest dreams. And we were all just in awe, you know, of ourselves and our mother, and that we could do that together. And it really was the most amazing moment, and I was probably never more proud of my mother than at that point. And I was just so blessed that we could all be there together. And so that was like the highlight of the trip. And we also, so I have another mother in this story. She wasn't a mother at the time, but my older sister Zoe, who had bought the RV, and came up with this great idea. So we go back, and we're loading up the RV, and we're packing all of her stuff in here, and we also have to have places to sleep, so it's like a 5-day trip or something. And so she's got all this stuff, and she was gonna buy a trailer to put the moped on, but she never really got around to it. So she's like, yeah, we're gonna stuff the moped in the RV. I'm like, ugh, really? And I'm like, ugh, conniption fit. And so we stuffed the moped in the back. So in an RV, you have the 2 front doors, right, where you sit like a cab, like a regular truck. And then you have the back door where you're supposed to be able to get in and out when you're in the back, so you don't have to crawl over the front seats to get out. But that's where the moped went. So we couldn't use that back door. So that was like the first thing that was pretty crazy about the RV trip. The second thing was she had never unloaded the toilet. And I don't know if you've ever ridden in a RV before or not, but you have to like hook it up into a screw sewage thing at an RV park and release the sewage into the receptacle where it goes. And she'd never done that, so we went up to this RV park in Las Vegas, and she hooked it up. Wrong. That was pretty funny. Mark one, another one for my sister. I can't believe she's a mom now. So we're driving, and we go to the Grand Canyon, which I don't know if you've ever driven there, but it's about 1,000,000 miles out of the way from anywhere. So we're like driving from RV to the Grand Canyon, and we got there. It's beautiful. It's amazing. The whole time I was like, no, it's not worth our time. God, like, please, can we not drive 100 miles out of our way to go to Grand Canyon? It's just a big hole. And we get there, and it was totally worth it. It's really, really amazing. So we go. And that was beautiful. And then we're driving back, though, and it's getting dark. And if you've ever driven back from the Grand Canyon, it is dark. It is dark, 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 dark. Like, you can see for, I don't know, 100 miles, because you're way up high and it's way down low down there. So you can see for 100 miles and you can't see a light. Like, not a single light. So we're driving back down this canyon in the dark, and there's no one out on the roads. And all of a sudden we hear this boom. And we're like, what's that? And we hear this boom, boom, boom. And we look out the window, and we're backfiring fire out of the tailpipe. Oh my God, are you serious? We're in the middle of nowhere, not like and visions of like us breaking down and the serial killer coming and like stabbing us and burying us in the desert, and my dad being like, I told them so! It was going through my head. So we were going like 10 miles an hour. It was probably the scariest, I don't know, 3 hours of my entire life. And so we get down to the bottom to this Native American, because it's on a reserve. So this little like RV park and gas station kind of thing, showers. And so we're supposed to go to my Uncle Tom's house in Missouri, which is like 200 miles out of the way. And so we get down there and we're like, oh God, okay, we made it. We didn't die, like it didn't break down, okay, we're good. It's time to go to bed. And my sister's like, Zoe, is like, no, we have to make it to Uncle Tom's house. We have to keep driving. And we were all like, no, we're not driving anymore. And she's like, but we're not going to make it. We're like, no! And we got into this huge fight, and we ended up staying at the RV park because I'm kind of a control freak when it comes to my sister's, Zoe's decisions, and I usually end up making the decision in the end. I'm sure you can see why. So we stayed in the RV park, and we woke up the next morning, and it was so beautiful, and this Native American man came over, and he sang us a little traveling song in his language, and we thought it was probably, I don't know, him making fun of us of being these silly white women driving in this 1982 RV together. But we were glad for the blessing, because after that the trip went really well. The RV was fine, and we made it home safely with very little trouble after that. So I think that was great. But yeah, so it was my trip about my mom, my story about how great my mom is, how great my sisters are. And thank you.